Have you ever felt like your financial budget was out of whack, going off the rails? Maybe you overcommitted on a mortgage and now you're house poor. You have no money for anything fun. Or maybe you spent so much on eating out in restaurants that you had to count every penny when you went grocery shopping. Or maybe you have so many subscriptions that it's hard to pay the hydro bill. Well, when it comes to time, our life can also get out of balance when we're not putting an appropriate number of hours into various parts of our life. And this causes strain on the other parts. Now, balance doesn't necessarily mean that each part of our life gets an equal number of hours. But what it means is that each part gets an appropriate amount of our time, a reasonable amount of our time. And I have used time tracking to help me work less when I felt like my life was out of balance because work was just taking over, trying to finish a doctorate and keep up with a bunch of other responsibilities. Time tracking has helped me get back into balance. It also ensures that you give enough time to your various priorities and roles, instead of using it all up on one thing and robbing the other roles. So time tracking helps you redirect time when your roles are out of balance. Now, our time tracker is mainly for work, but there are other ways to track various parts of our lives, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But often, if we can get our time budget right for work, then the other things kind of fall into place. Remember, time tracking is the secret sauce in a time budget. Let's look at 4 parts of our life where time tracking can help us stay in balance. The first is sleep. Now, you can track this with an app. Maybe you have an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, something like that. But most people need about 7 to 9 hours of sleep to stay healthy and function at their best. And in fact, recent research shows that if you go past a reasonable number of working hours each week, those hours are basically ineffective. People that work 70, 80 hours a week, they're not accomplishing any more than if they worked a reasonable number. Because those extra hours, they're so tired, exhausted, lacking mental clarity, they're just not as productive. And other research shows that if you shortchange your sleep, you actually shorten your lifespan. It makes you vulnerable to health issues, and we'll talk more about that in the next point. Now, I know you can't always control the quality of your sleep, but you can control how many hours you're in bed. So decide what time you want to get up so that you can have lots of focused time in the mornings before distractions start. And from there, you decide what time to go to bed. Now, if you decide you're going to sleep the average of 8 hours, if we say people need 7 to 9 and you choose 8, you might think, I don't want to waste 1/3 of my life sleeping. 8 hours out of 24, that's 1/3 of my time. But you know what? It's what gives you the energy for the other 2/3 of the day. Sleep is your body's repair time. And if you don't give your body the sleep it needs, you might lose 1/3 of your lifespan eventually because of health issues. So tracking your sleep is going to help you stay in balance. Now, the second part of our life where time tracking can help us keep in balance is our health. And this is very easy to track with an app. So our health aspect includes drinking enough water. And you can actually get some kind of amusing apps to keep track of your water intake. There are some where every time you drink a glass of water, it waters a plant on your app, and the plant will die if you don't give it enough water. So there are other more traditional ways of tracking it, but that one's kind of fun. Also, health includes exercise. So depending on your physical abilities and your mobility, try to find something you enjoy that's beneficial for your body. Because when we spend energy to exercise, it actually creates more energy. When we're talking about keeping our health balanced, there are also supplements, regular health care that are important. But probably the biggest contributor to our health is what we eat. I think we should choose food for its ability to fuel our energy, not just by its taste. I think we should choose portions that help us to regulate our blood sugar so that we don't have those ups and downs in our energy throughout the day. And it takes time to figure out what works best for your body. It takes time to shop for healthy food and to prepare healthy meals. But it's a worthwhile time investment because we only get one body, and that's the body we have to use to do our work. If we want to be productive at work, we got to take care of our body. So I'm going to share a few things I've found helpful. I find that if I set an eating pattern, it reduces decision fatigue. So I don't get up in the morning and wonder what I'm going to have for breakfast. I've already decided what I'm going to have. Same thing for lunch and basically for supper. So instead of spending time to decide what you're going to eat and wondering if you have the ingredients for it or if you have to go shopping, just plan it ahead. And right now in this season of life, I decided every morning I'm going to have a homemade protein smoothie for breakfast. For lunch, I'm going to have a salad with some kind of protein and good fats, so there's some variety there. And for supper, meat, vegetables, a little bit of starch. This is working well for me. It's giving me a lot of energy and helping to improve my sleep. For snacks, usually some nuts or some berries. Doing this in this way, following a pattern, planning ahead, it saves me so much time and mental energy. I don't have to think about what I'm going to eat. It's just almost autopilot. And a way that I prepare for this is on the weekends, I try to do some food prep. So I have a little mini salad bar tray and I cut up vegetables in there. So at lunchtime when it's time for my salad, I just grab some lettuce, throw in some veggies from the mini salad bar tray, and I grab some meat or some eggs, some kind of protein. So with the meat, on the weekends, I'll usually cook up some meat and freeze it in small portions that I can throw into a salad. Or if it's supper time and I'm alone because my husband's on a trip, I'll just grab some of that meat from the freezer and have some veggies, and then I have a quick supper. So tracking your health is going to help you stay in balance. The third part of our life that time tracking can help with is relationships. So we've talked about tracking sleep and health so we could stay in balance. And those are done with other options, apps, for example, instead of our work time tracker. But before we get to the fourth and biggest one, which is work, we need to talk about relationships. We were created for relationships. We were not intended to be alone. And life is meaningless without relationships. Can you imagine being the only person in the world? How boring that would be. Now, I'm a woman of faith, so my most important relationship is the one that I have with my Creator, God. So it's important for me to have time each day for prayer and devotion, preferably in the morning before it can get crowded out by something else. And then even though I'm not extroverted or super social, I need relationships with people. My husband, my children, my mom, close friends, my personal support team. It's easy to get so busy that we neglect relationships because they don't have deadlines, or so we think, until we're in danger of losing somebody to sickness or death. Well, my solution is to put in my calendar or set an alarm on my phone to remind me about relationships. Some ideas: you could set a time for a morning check-in with your spouse, for supper together as a family, weekly calls with relatives, a bi-weekly Zoom or FaceTime call with friends or your support team. Honestly, at first, this kind of felt awkward. I was worried that the other person would think that I was reducing our relationship to just another item on my task list or calendar. But I decided to flip that thinking around. By scheduling time with them, it makes them know that they're valuable to me. I'm giving them a regular spot in my schedule because I care about them, because I need them. My mom looks forward to our Sunday evening calls, and if I'm on a trip and unable to call, she misses that time. So I think it's important to track time for your relationships. It's a powerful way to keep your life in balance. And now we get to the big one, the fourth one. The fourth part of our life that time tracking is going to help us stay in balance, and that is work. And before we plunge into it, I'll just mention there's another part of life balance that involves hobbies, but we're going to talk about that in another video about downtime. So let's talk about the part of our life that generally takes the biggest chunk of our time, except maybe for sleep. We should set a reasonable number of days to work each week and a reasonable number of hours to work each day. Work is part of life. But the number of hours we're going to work depends on our season of life and on various factors. Do we have children to look after? Elderly parents? Are we starting a business? Trying to get out of debt? Consider all the factors and then make a wise decision about how many hours you're going to work each week and then stick to it. Time tracking is your friend here. It's going to help you respect your decision. And I've used time tracking to stop overworking. I've used time tracking to stop underworking. For example, the last couple of years, we have had a string of renovations and repairs at our house. And I just found myself with too many demands on my time from that. Questions from the workers, needing to order supplies, noise distracting me, and also, I will confess, the temptation to micromanage what all the workers were doing. Well, my project time was really taking a hit because of all this time I was losing for the repairs and renovations. And in that case, I used my time tracker to help me bring my work hours back up to what they should be. It forced me to stop losing time to distractions and to stop micromanaging every aspect of the reno work. So my time tracker has been invaluable for life balance, and I feel so much more balanced than I was a few years ago. And in the past, I've used it to help me to stop working too much. So I would see my running total of hours for the week decreasing too fast and realize, okay, I need to stop working so many hours each day, give my brain a break, or else take a day off at the end of the week. Time tracker helped me hold myself accountable. So we've looked at 4 parts of our life where time tracking can help us stay in balance: sleep, health, relationships, and work. And I have a question for you. Is there an area of your life that is out of balance right now? Feel free to comment below. Is there an area of your life that is out of balance right now? Be sure to get your free time tracker by clicking the link below in the comments, and stay tuned for more videos in this series about time tracking.